Lesson 2.3.4 Systems of Linear Inequalities. In this video, we'll write systems of linear inequalities to represent problem situations. Vocabulary. So in this section we have two vocabulary words. We have constraints. Constraints are the inequalities from a system of linear inequalities. And solution of a system of linear inequalities. A solution of a system of linear inequalities is the intersection of the solutions of each inequality. Write a system of linear inequalities that represents each problem situation. Remember to define your variables. 1. Natsu is an experienced whitewater rafting guide. Natsu's raft can hold no more than 10 people, other than himself. Natsu charges $75 charges adults $75 and children $50 to ride down the river with him. His goal is to earn at least $250 each raft. So we're going to start off by defining our variables. And I'm going to go ahead and go x and y. X is going to equal the number of adults. And y is going to equal the number of children. And I get this from the problem where it talks about what he charges. He charges $75 for adults and $50 for children. So that's how we're figure out what my x and y are. Now we're going to write a linear inequality that represents this word problem. So since adults cost $75, we get 75x. Since children cost $50, you're going to take 50 times the number of children, which is y. And then at least 250. So at least means less than or equal. At least means that the smallest it can be is $250. So it has to be greater than or equal to 250. Okay. The second thing we're talking about is that the raft can hold no more than 10 people. Okay, so if we want to figure out how many people are on the raft, we add up how many children how many adults with how many children, and that's how many people are on the raft. And it says that we can have no more than 10 people. So that means that it can be less than or it can be equal to 10. And that's where the second equation comes from. And again, remember x and y are the number of adults and the number of children. So each of those count as people, so that's why we add up x and y to figure out the 10. All right. Number 2. A company prints flyers and brochures. It takes 2 minutes to print a flyer and 4 minutes to print a brochure. Each flyer uses 12 ounces of ink, and each brochure uses 9 ounces of ink. The company has 2 hours available and 360 ounces of ink. So what I'd like you to do right now is try this one on your own. Make sure you define your variables and then write your two sets of inequalities. One's going to go for ounces and one is going to go for time. So go ahead and do that now. All right, so I defined X as my flyers. You could have used something like F, right? Because flyers start with F, and you could have used B, and because brochures start with a B, if you wanted to do different letters, but X and Y. And so then my first one had to do with time, and we had 2 minutes for flyers and 4 minutes for brochures. So that's where the 2x plus 4y came from. And then, I lied in how I set this up. The 2 here should really actually be 2 hours is equal to, well, 1 hour equals 60 minutes. 2 hours equals 120 minutes. So this should really be 120. And then the second equation had to do with ink. And they had 12 ounces of ink for the flyers, and they had used 9 ounces of ink for the brochures. And so that's where that equation came from. And with that, that's how you write systems of inequalities.